Hello everyone, welcome back to Archangel RC. Today I'm going to be bothering you with yet another awesome Volantex mini plane, the Eachine P-51D Mini Mustang. Just in case you're confused by what I just said, it's pretty simple. Volantex manufactures these for Eachine, hence the name of the model. This plane was actually highly recommended to me by Volantex. I told them the Sport Cub was an awesome model because I really was exhilarated about it, having just flown it, and they said, well, you know, the Mini Mustang is also made by us and you will probably really like it since you liked the Cub. Hence why I went out and got one, and guess what? They were completely right. Now, for some reason, I was left with the impression that Mustangs in general, not this model in particular, were quite nervous flyers and definitely a handful, but this one did surprise me quite pleasantly. I'm not sure if the model is proportionately to scale. The prop most certainly is not, but it does look darn good and it looks good in the air as well. I got the version with 3 batteries, makes things a lot more convenient at the field when you remember to charge all of them in advance, and the relatively small box, which also houses the radio and spare prop, is convenient enough to keep in the car and have with you at all times. The plane comes with a pretty much standard radio transmitter for all these Volantex models. You have an aerobatic switch and a mode switch. Beginner doesn't allow any crazy stuff and banking angles are very limited. Mid does allow for loops, not rolls, and banking angle limits are increased. Both these modes do have wing leveling working. An expert turns all stabilization off and gives you full manual control of the plane, but unlike the Sport Cub, this one is not quite as easy to handle in that mode, so it really is for the more experienced flyers out there. If you want to do rolls, you would have to use the expert mode or the aerobatics button. You press it and you move the aileron stick in the direction you want to roll it. Just need to nudge it and the plane will do the roll or loop all on its own. Just have to make sure you keep the throttle high during the maneuver. Works awesome. Just like the Sport Cub, this one is equipped with the same quick swap prop mount, which also works extremely well for protecting the prop and gears in the event of a crash, and I can't stress just how well that system works. It is absolutely brilliant. I managed to plant the plane a few times, nose first of course, while messing around close to the ground, and the prop just snaps off with no damage to it or the plane itself. Snap it back on and it is ready for action again. Now, when it comes to takeoff, this plane needs a smooth surface to do a rolling takeoff. Anything rough will end up in failure as it does tip forward and doesn't go anywhere. Not to worry because the beginner and mid modes make hand throwing a breeze. However, like all of these planes, before you can throttle up, you have to arm it, which is done with the throttle stick. Once you power the plane on, move the throttle stick to full and you will hear a beep. Then bring it back down and the motor would now be working and the plane can be flown. Once I got mine flying, I did like the mid mode the best. Felt like the beginner one was a bit too limiting, though it would benefit more inexperienced pilots because this plane does like to drop a wing a bit if the speed drops too much. I can't really say it is as much of a beginner plane as the Sport Cub was. This one does require a bit more experience to fly safely, but even if not, it is light enough to not really get damaged when you crash it. I managed to crash it a few times and I can't even find a scratch to tell something has happened, so it might even last a good while. The prop definitely will, and you do have a spare in the box. Also, it is worth mentioning that spare parts are available just in case something breaks. In expert mode, it did want to pull up a bit, and I'm not sure if that was a CG issue or the elevator needs to be trimmed down a bit. It flew perfectly straight and level in the other 2 modes, so I thought I wouldn't touch the trim buttons. Was glad to see the stabilizer doing a very good job of keeping it perfectly level, tracking straight and true, and definitely made it very easy to fly. Doing low flybys in the calm weather, it did give off that very scale looking vibe. Absolutely loved every minute of this. It can do aerobatics if you want to do that, but it can also be calm and well mannered, and it does look awesome doing it. I was also quite impressed in how tight of a circle you can fly it in, if you can manage the controls of course, but the plane can do it. I guess the fact that you can use all control surfaces, ailerons, elevator and rudder does make a positive difference. I also did take off from the table at some point, so it can take to the air after a very short run as well, which is always nice. As for landings, you do need to keep the speed up, otherwise it will start to dip left and right. And on a smooth surface it may even land very well, though what I had to work with at the field was less than optimal and it did result in the prop coming off every time. Not a big deal though, snap it back on and it is ready to go again. Depending on how you fly, a battery can last up to 15 minutes, which is quite a while, and with 3 charged batteries at the ready you'd probably get bored before you run out of juice. I had a lot of fun flying this thing and I absolutely love it. I was also impressed by the range of the radio, took the plane at least 60 or 70 meters away, at which point it does start to get very small and still had control with no indication of losing it. Loved how it flew, even though it does tend to tip-stow when you slow it down. If you remember to keep the speed up, always good. Loved how the stabilization system is working and also loved the durability of the material and the prop mount system, which just adds to the longevity of the plane. All of this just tells you how this was indeed made and oriented towards more inexperienced pilots or just for pure fun, but also is suitable for the more experienced ones in that expert mode. Now I'm actually getting curious how the Corsair from the same series will fly. Perhaps one day I will find out. For the time being, I think I will be taking this one with me when I go flying, so long as the weather is calm, though I have no doubt it will do well in windy weather as well, with that stabilization working as it did. But either way, we'll be using and abusing it for sure. Now, some of you may remember a certain list I did about a year ago, and be aware of the fact that I have a larger Volantex Mustang model still sitting in its box, but its time will soon come, because with so much FPV in my life, I really am longing for some scale, good old line of sight flying, and I'm hoping that one will also not disappoint. Until then though, links for all items shown and used can be found in the description below, and buying literally anything through them would support this channel at no additional cost to you, and you will have my eternal gratitude as this is my full-time job. Another way you can support me is Patreon, the link is also there, and I would like to say a big thank you to all the people who have supported me so far in any way and would continue to do so. If you have enjoyed this video and found it useful, please feel free to like, share and subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit that bell button so you can be notified when I upload a new one. Also consider following me on Facebook. Happy and safe flying, and I will see you in the next one.